Did you know that the Window Ninjas now operates in 4 states and in 11 different cities? Gabe Salinas, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful, Clay. I'm glad to be here with you today.
And just to give people a little context, how long have we worked with you in your business, sir?
A little over 3 years, Clay. We've been together for a little bit of a journey now.
And I think we picked the best of times and the worst of times to work together. I mean, it's like right at the peak of the geopolitical craziness. That's when we started working with you. But you've continued to grow. What kind of growth have you seen over these past 3 years? Just so the listeners know that you do have, in fact, a business that can navigate through difficult times.
Well, we have over doubled our business here at Window Ninjas since working with you. I actually went back and looked through our numbers, and I looked at some of our goals that we had set in the original conversation that I had with your team. And we have surpassed my original number that I wanted to hit with you guys. And I was quite shocked at how, I won't say easy, but systematic it was for us to be able to get to where we wanted to be.
Everybody was
be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would 2 men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you. And they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime Show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women. 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. The C's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here.
Okay, Thrive Nation, on today's show, I'm going to share with you during this brief 5-minute interview something I think that might change your life. This is a 5-minute, potentially life-changing edition of the Thrive Time shows. Here we go. This person on today's show, Gabe Salinas, has been a client of mine, a guy we've had the opportunity to work with to help him scale his business, windowninjas.com, for years, and he has an unbelievable opportunity for you. So if you're out there today and you say, wow, headed into the new year, I want to make new changes. I want to be able to change my life and have time freedom and financial freedom. Perhaps buying a windowninjas.com franchise is right for you. Gabe Salinas, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Hey, Clay. I'm well. Thanks for asking.
So here we go. 10 questions in 5 minutes. Can we do it? I think we can. 1, if somebody wants to buy a windowninjas.com franchise, what are they getting? Like, what do they get if they buy a windowninjas.com franchise?
Well, what they're getting is they're getting the rights to operate a Window Ninjas franchise in their specific territory of choice. So we carve out a nice big swath of land in their backyard, and we basically say, we are going to be partners, and you are going to get this franchise, and you are going to become one of the best and most successful window cleaning experts in the world.
And if somebody buys a windowninjas.com franchise, what kind of financial investment does somebody need to put up to get into the conversation?
Well, you're looking at a $49,500 franchise fee, and that's for us to be able to provide you that specific location wherever that franchisee may be. So for that amount of money, they're going to get a carved out territory somewhere of their choice that is available currently for them. And what they're also going to get, they're going to get the entire system that goes along with having a windowninjas.com franchise. We're going to get them trained. We're going to get educated on how to provide the services, and we're also going to train and educate them how to market their business, how to scale their business, how to grow their business, their daily rocks, things that need to be done on a daily basis so that they can continue to be successful in their business and watch it grow.
Now, question number three, you have a call center, a scheduling center that schedules appointments for your franchisees. Tell us how that works. You have a call center and a scheduling center. Can you tell us how that works for the franchisees?
Yeah, that's one of the huge benefits of having a Window Ninjas franchise is with us, you get our dedicated call center that is just specifically dedicated to answering customers' calls. So for all of our locations, we answer all of their calls. Doesn't matter if they're in Charleston, South Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, they could be in Tampa, Florida, anywhere in the United States that we have a location. All calls come directly into our corporate office to our call center, and those agents facilitate the client's needs. So they'll take down their information and schedule a job with them. They will schedule a time for our franchisees to go out and maybe provide that client a quote. Any kind of customer service responsibility that requires a phone call or some sort of email, that comes all into our office over here, and we handle that for every single one of our franchises.
And with the franchising business, again, question number four here, you guys offer the turnkey marketing, the branding, everything. So people don't have to reinvent the wheel. How much time does that save somebody if they buy a franchise as opposed to starting a business from scratch?
Oh man, that marketing part is huge because before they even, once somebody signs and inks with us and says, "Hey, I want to become a franchise," and they pay their fee, that's really where their fun marketing begins, is because we get to go ahead and build that franchisee's specific web page for their location. So let's say they're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we will immediately build them a Google My Business page. We'll actually start getting reviews for them. We will also set up their own web page on our website for their specific location. We'll start optimizing that web page, providing the SEO that we need to be doing so that they can start getting leads generated from that. And then we'll also start to show their ads. We'll teach our franchisees how we run their ads, how they basically can pay a fee to us to have us actually run their ads and manage all of those ads, or they can choose to do it themselves. But we basically have a system that works really well when it comes to attracting new clients, and it's what we have like what we call a 3-step process in doing it.
Hey, question number five, you have a turnkey marketing system. I think a lot of business owners are saying, man, I own a business. I don't know how to generate leads, and that could be a problem. Could you talk about the benefits of having a turnkey total marketing system already in place?
Yeah, I mean, having a system like what we have in place already generates leads organically throughout the United States in a lot of locations that we are in, and in a lot of locations that we are hoping to be in. I bet you we field probably at least 5% of our calls on a daily basis for people who are looking for our services in an area that we are not currently in yet. And so the benefit of having us go out and market Window Ninjas as a franchise, allows us the opportunity to reach people who we know are in an area that is actively being promoted organically for Window Ninjas. But as far as like the location goes, if we have a specific person who's interested in a franchise and they want to open up a business in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Kalamazoo, California, wherever, we have a system in place of marketing that generates leads through digital, through social, and through one-to-one contact with our call center. Our call center also does cold calls and outreach for our franchisees as well. So there's a multitude of things that we do on a marketing side that really generates leads for these guys.
And with the limited time we have on today's broadcast, because I really want to get into the meat and potatoes, so I'll try to speed through questions 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Here we go. Why should everybody learn more about a windowninjas.com franchise? I think there's a lot of wonderful opportunities. I know that some of the wonderful brands that I've met over the years, they require potential franchisees to take, and I'm not exaggerating, 6 weeks of training. Some of these franchises out there, they require a potential franchisee to fly out to a community and to essentially move there for 6 weeks to learn how to run the business. I know of some franchises that, to buy one, it costs millions of dollars. I know of other franchises where not only does it cost millions of dollars, but it costs 6 weeks of training. I know of other businesses, this is real stuff, folks, that require months of ongoing training. I know of other franchises that require a lot of licensing and certifications to get started. At Window Ninjas, you guys really have none of those restrictions. I mean, this is a turnkey franchise that I believe you can learn how to run within a week of training in your offices. Tell us about the WindowNinjas.com franchise and why everybody should purchase a WindowNinjas.com franchise.
Well, one of the main reasons why somebody would be benefiting from purchasing a Window Ninjas franchise is because, like you said in the beginning, we promote time freedom and financial freedom, and we have systems in place that allow for a owner to work in the business, work on the business, or work outside of the business. We have many different options because we have all proven systems. And as far as generating income, the home service industry is one of the fastest growing segments of the economy today in the United States, if not the fastest. I can go on all day about facts and figures and numbers with that. But because there are so many people out there in the United States that are actively working, generating good income for themselves, have a nice house or have a nice commercial property, there are so many people that have those things and just don't have the time or the resources to actually get services like what we provide done. So therefore, they reach out to us on a regular basis so that we can perform tasks for them that they just simply can't get to. And that's a huge benefit for anybody looking for a business. Is you want to have a business that is needed, very much needed. We solve a lot of people's problems every single day, whether it's cleaning their windows or cleaning out their gutters or, washing down the exterior of their house. All of these things go into property maintenance, and property maintenance is huge. And so with what we do, I've been in this industry for over 30 years, so I definitely know all the ins and outs when it comes to this specific industry. I know all the ins and outs when it comes to marketing to this specific industry. And I definitely would be considered an expert in the field of the services that we provide as well as businesses that we operate.
Folks, if you're out there today thinking about changing your life this year, thinking about buying a business, investing in a business that has the potential to create time and financial freedom for you and your family, I encourage you to check out our good friend and his business, WindowNinjas.com. Again, that's Gabe Salinas, the founder of WindowNinjas.com. Gabe, thank you for carving out time for us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Will do. Thanks, Clay. Thanks for having me. We'll see you. Bye.
Z, on today's show, we are interviewing the founder and the CEO of OxyFresh carpet cleaning franchises. Now, my friend, on today's show, we're interviewing a guy whose business has 151,000 Google reviews.
Wow!
396 locations.
Wow!
What could we possibly learn from this man, Z?
A lot.
When we come back, going green. Can your small business profit by turning eco-friendly? We're going to talk with the CEO of one business who says it is working for him. That is ahead on Fox Business, giving you the power to prosper.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrivetime Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, yes, yes. And Dr. Z, guess who is today's guest?
It's fresh. It's hot and fresh.
It's hot and it's fresh. It's it's the founder of America's greenest carpet cleaning company. It is none other than my brother from another mother, Mr. Jonathan Barnett. Welcome onto the show, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Clay. How you doing, brother? You doing good down there?
We are psychologically and emotionally prepared for this interview. And we're just going to ask you a ton of tough questions. Z, we're going to paint them into a corner with
hard hitting.
All right. So, Jonathan, people who've Googled you know that you've had some tremendous success throughout your career. So I want to start by asking you about the bottom and the fireworks stand that started it all. How did you start OxyFresh?
You know, that's a great question, and I get to tell this story quite a bit nowadays. But when you look back at it, sometimes you don't appreciate your stories of the hard times you've gone through or your beginning. So I think all of us have that. And if you don't have that out there, that's why you're listening to this show right now. So in the very beginning, before I started a carpet cleaning company that was nationwide with 150,000 reviews on the web, there was very humble beginnings. And I grew up with a single mom that always taught me to, work hard in school, work hard in sports, get a good job, this and that. And we grew up without a lot of money, but I saw how hard she worked. So my grandpa, my dad's side of the family, gave all of his grandkids, and he has a lot of them, most of them I've never met, $10,000 for Christmas. So I was reading this book in my dorm rooms at Oral Roberts University in Clay. I know we both went to school there, and we didn't know each other that much then, but we knew who each other were.
Yeah.
And I know you're an entrepreneur at school as well. And so I think it's kind of how we knew each other, really. But basically, reading that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it talks about, the guy, this guy that had two dads, a stepdad and a real dad. One dad, always encouraged him to go get a job, get a good education, go get a good job, and keep it safe. And then the other dad was creating jobs for other people, a little more risky, right? But and he watched these dads grow as they got older. And the safe dad, the dad with that education and good job, he did well long at the beginning, but over time, the other dad blew him away. And so when I was driving down the road after reading this book with this check in my hand, and I saw out there in Tulsa, which is kind of cool that you're there, but I'm in Denver now, but I saw this fireworks stand, and, it was wintertime, but I saw it and I was like, how hard is that? Like, if someone else can do it, why can't I do it? So I started looking up fireworks, where to buy them, and wholesale, you buy them in, different states, this and that. So I invested that money I had, the $10,000. I bought $2 or $3 grand worth of fireworks, drove over to Kansas, bought wholesale fireworks, drove them back, and had to build a stand. That me and my buddy, we slept out there for 2 weeks in the summertime.
Yeah.
And that $2 or $3 grand worth of fireworks, we turned into 20 grand in sales. Now there's other expenses we had. So I don't want to get into all the details of this fireworks story, but let's
talk about how tall the fireworks stand was.
Yeah.
How deep was it and how tall? It was approximately. We have a few more detailed questions about this fireworks stand. How big was he? Because you were sleeping there, right?
Well, so here's the thing. I had a pop-up camper I was sleeping in, and had a mobile mini that I put the fireworks in so the people wouldn't steal them at night. But the fireworks stand was actually 8 foot. Those 8 foot by 4 foot planks, I think they're 6 by 8, whatever. There's two of them, so it's 16 foot long. Me and my buddy built it. We were so proud of it. We named it College Fun Fireworks. We put it right next to the big guys, and people would stop by and say, "Hey, I want to buy from you. I don't want to buy the big guys. I want to support the college kids." We were like, "Perfect." So I loved it, and but the problem was that, man, I had to jump in the hotel across the street every night to take my shower because I had to sleep outside.
Yep.
And I traded in town. I traded fireworks for food. And my markup on fireworks was 4 or 5 to 1. So every time I trade someone $5 for the fireworks, it cost me $1.
Z, I want to marinate on that idea for just a second. That he could buy fireworks and then sell them for 4 or 5 times more than he paid for them.
Wait a second. Time out.
Yes.
Is that ethical?
Well, I would like to. I would like to get into the ethics of this with you because this is a question that I think somebody out there is asking. Okay, so in the optometry clinic, in the optometry game, in the jewelry game, in the auto auction game, and in the banking game, these are all different industries that we know about. I've coached in different businesses, and you've owned them. And so let's talk about jewelry. Why in the jewelry industry is the markup so much higher than it would be in other industries? How come some industries have more markups than others?
Well, I think it's a pleasure item. It's also, it has a distinct feel to it. I mean, when you're buying jewelry, what are you really buying? You're buying love.
Think about that. That right there is a deep thought for somebody.
Is that a deep thought?
Well, I mean, I if I wasn't married to Vanessa, there's no way I'd ever buy a diamond.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Back in the day, when you'd have your little stud earrings in,
I had hoops.
Oh, that's right.
I had hoops. I still have the holes in my ears. They won't go away.
We need to tag a picture of you back in your prime on the show, on show notes.
Oh, yes.
Maybe you'll stand up and do that. That'd be kind of fun because I think the Thrive Nation would really like to see the old Clay Clark.
Here's what I'll do. Before you and I leave today's recording session, we
Okay.
will do a show about the old. I've got some really good audio files that I think you would love.
Oh, perfect. But I think that, jewelry's one of those that it's a, and then I think also too, by marking it up a lot, it gives them a lot of opportunities for discounts. And so a lot of times you can say, half off price, which means I'm not going to rip your head off completely, just partly.
So I'm not going to ask you for the specific margins you have on your specific items, but let's go with like the auto auction. In that industry, there's no way you could have a 4 and 5 time markup on a car at an auto auction, could you?
Well, the thing about an auto auction is, I don't actually sell I just do the service. So let's look at
you're
an
like a
auto.
broker
Let's
of-
look at an auto dealership, for
Let's do it.
instance.
Okay,
Yeah, their markups are much less. Now, on a used car, if bought correctly, sometimes they can buy a car for $10,000 to $15,000 range, let's say, and they can add up, $3,000, $4,000, maybe even $5,000 on top of that.
So let's say that somebody goes to your auto auction who's a used car dealer,
Mm-hmm.
and they buy a truck. I'm picturing a F-250, and it's got about 50,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And they buy that thing. I don't even know what that would cost me. Let's just say it was like $25,000.
Okay, $25,000.
You're saying that somebody could then, the used car dealer could take that vehicle back, clean it up, detail it out, and maybe mark it up $5,000?
Yeah, they'd probably market it at $29.99 or something, put it on their lot, I would imagine. And then hopefully try to get, $28, $29 maybe out of it, because everybody comes in to buy a car knowing you're going to do a little wheeling and dealing on it, right? Now, what's interesting is this, if you talk about the auto industry, is that the guys that do the buy here, sell here, they mark theirs up a lot more.
Really?
A lot.
Really?
Because they have a very unique clientele that can't get financing conventionally. And so it's like the poorer you are, the worse you get beat up financially.
It's interesting.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's very interesting because you think about different industries. I see so many people I've met at the workshops who are contractors.
Yeah.
I'll think of a good example of a contractor that I'm a big fan of is our pool guy right now.
Yeah.
Our
doing
pool
a
guy
great job.
doing an awesome job. And I'll say our pool guy, he didn't apologize for the profit. He says, this is what it's going to cost for labor and materials, and then this is how much I add on as my profit. He didn't apologize for it. He didn't feel bad.
He was transparent. That's unusual.
And he did not feel bad about it. And I think
unusual to be transparent.
That's not normal.
It's not.
But every other pool guy was kind of not every. There was I think 5 or 6 people we were talking to.
Yeah.
But there was like 3 of them that were just squirrely. They wouldn't show you what they were spending on materials. They couldn't give you a hard cost.
Yeah.
They couldn't. And so I would just say that you don't need. But I think there's more entrepreneurs out there than not who are really underpaying themselves and not marking up their products and services enough to achieve their goals. I think for every 5 that are gouging, somebody with too high of prices, I would say there's 50 who are underpaying themselves.
It's a shame, and that's why, in my soon-to-be released book, Business Pig.
Oof.
Big Pig eats first at the trough. You've got to pay yourself. You've got to, and if you're not able to pay yourself enough money to live, you're not charging enough. And if you can't make it if you can't charge enough, in other words, if you say to yourself, well, I can't charge that, well, try it.
Yeah.
You may lose a few customers, but overall, like when you went up on your DJ, when you went from like 600 to 650, some crazy move.
Yeah.
You lose a few, right?
Yeah, I know that with the DJ business, I was doing my first shows for $225, $225, $250, very, very low. And I had this
what a bargain they got.
I had this mental block, though, thinking I'll lose all of my customers, all of them. And they're all going to start talking. If I raise my prices to $500, I'm going to lose all of them. And I stayed there at that poverty line for a couple years, just refusing to raise because thinking I would lose all my customers.
Right. It's a shame.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people stay there. Why do people stay at that level where they're underpaying themselves? Why do they do it?
I don't know. I think a lot of people just don't understand all the costs that go into running a business.
Okay.
So they have just a simple mindset of, okay, I want to, I already own my speakers.
Yep.
I've got gas in the van. I've got a payment on the van. I mean, you don't realize all the small stuff that goes into the taxes and the cable company and the phone bills and the.
When we think about your optometry clinic, the one by the mall there, Woodland Hills Mall,
right?
That piece of land that's $1 million piece of real estate right there.
Yeah, probably now. When I bought it 7 years ago, I bought it for. Guess how much I bought it for?
How much did you buy it for?
Well, take a guess.
Well, right now we based on the volume of the construction outside, based upon the weather conditions, based upon these things, I would say a quarter of an acre. right next to the mall.
The Pat side out in front of the mall.
You had to have bought it for $200,000.
It was $300,000. Then I actually paid $310,000 for it. That's a great story.
$310,000.
Yes.
And today it's got to be worth at least $2-3 million.
Well, with the building on it, yes, of course.
It has to be.
I think last time I had praise was what, 1.5.
1.5?
Yeah.
And then you got to pay taxes on that thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but you're aware of it, and so therefore when you're charging someone for the glasses, you're not just charging them for the glasses, you're charging them for the insurance, you're charging them for the real estate, you're charging them for
electricity bill.
So what you're going to I want to make this actionable for all the listeners out there. What I want you to do is I want you to get out a sheet of paper or maybe a spreadsheet, and I want you to add in every single cost last month that you're going to get next month. Every fixed cost. Add them all up.
Yep.
Add up every single cost. Add them all up. Now, on the next column, I want you to add up all of your variable costs. That's like the cost of doing business, the goods.
The goods.
The glasses that you buy that you have to resell, that kind of thing. Add all those up. Get to a total between the fixed and the fixed expenses and the variable expenses. And whatever that number is, add 20% on top of that, and that's about the profit margin you should be making minimum.
I would go a little higher because you want to end up with 20, and there's always that uh-ohs for the month.
I mean, that's the minimum, though.
Right, that's the minimum. I would probably start with 30, and hopefully you can end up with 25 in your pocket.
Can we talk about rushing to the bottom for a second? Rushing to the bottom. It's almost like
I thought you were going to say Russian to the bottom. I go,
the hunt for Red October or something?
Yeah,
I want to talk about this. So this is rushing. There are a lot of business owners that want to bottom feed and be the carp of that industry. They're rushing to the bottom. The cheapest price, the cheapest service, the cheapest employees, cheap. Now, if you have that mindset that you want to be the Walmart of your industry, what pretty much always ends up happening unless you're Walmart?
You have not a very good business.
And you can't pay really good people?
You can't pay really good people.
And you can't use good products?
And you can't use good products.
And you can't do good advertising.
Forget that.
And you end up living in a van down by the river.
Ta-da!
Now, what kind of a profit margin do you think somebody should have if they have a restaurant? If you were coaching a business owner who has a restaurant out there listening today, and they have a very, very nice food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you sit down with them and you discover they have a really crappy decor, crappy location, but great food. So you convince them to move to a new location, new menus, new decor, new ambiance, new. The food is good, though.
Good.
What kind of a margin would you sit down? If you had a buddy of yours who has a restaurant, would you say, buddy, we got to be at least a 30% or a 10%? Or what would you, how would you advise someone to do that?
I would shoot any business out there listening. Listen up.
Here we go.
Any business out there listening, unless you're some unique, nobody else is doing it, you invent the widget that is unbelievable.
Unless you're hand-making axes out of
nobody else can
recycled
make.
Grass. Okay,
right, out of plutonium.
Right.
Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't even know.
I think it could be.
I would tell everybody to shoot for that. Shoot for 30% markup and then try to get 20-25% of your gross sales in your pocket. Now, sometimes the busier you are, sometimes you can give up a little bit of that percentage. Sometimes it's not about the percentage, it's about how much you're making too. So sometimes some larger companies, in other words, like a Walmart, they don't try to make 20% of their gross sales.
No, they don't.
They can't.
They can't.
That's not but they do so much volume that they can make 4 and 5%.
What about people who lose money and then try to make up for it? People who lose money per transaction, who try to make up for it with volume. They lose money per transaction.
Forbes has a column for these people. Forbes actually has defined these people for us.
Okay.
Forbes is our business Bible, for those of you who don't know.
Yes.
We comment on it a lot because, we like for our stuff to be fact-checked.
Right.
We like to go to reliable sources like the Google and the Forbes.
It's called Forbes, but if you want to mispronounce it at home, you could say F-Orbs.
Oh, you could.
You could. Okay, back to
they have a category for that, and that falls into their 80 to 90% category of failed businesses.
Ooh.
They call it the FB.
Oh.
The failed business.
Now, let's talk about this. This is, again, we'll get back to the interview in just a second. Let's talk about this. OxyFresh has a great billing system, accounting system. They've thought through all the systems, okay?
Right.
But there's a lot of independent carpet guys that are out there that are wanting to invoice people. And I know this because I've met them. And they'll say, hey, I'm having a cash flow problem. And I'll say, what kind of problem do you have? They say, well, I cleaned I cleaned Clay's carpet. I cleaned Dr. Z's carpet. I cleaned the carpets. I'm cleaning carpets.
I've cleaned
a
record number of carpets.
How many carpets are you cleaning? They said, well, I'm cleaning a lot more than before because of your coaching and the mentorship. I'm getting 2 times as many carpets cleaned as before. I'm going, that's good. They said, no, it's bad. I said, how's it bad? They said, well, what's going on is I have been invoicing my clients and they haven't paid me yet.
Oof.
And now I would submit to the business owner, I would say, don't invoice for carpet, nor should the grocery store say, Dr. Z, do you want these avocados, these 7 avocados and this almond milk? Great. Here's an invoice. Pay us in the next 30 days.
Yeah, we'll bill you. Remember back in the good old days when they had the hardwood store? They threw it on the old the old westerns.
Put
they'd
on
come
your
in
tab.
And, put on. I need a sack of sugar.
What is going
I need
on with
two
that?
by
Can
fours.
you please explain to me why a business owner would like to, wants to, needs to invoice, like plumbers? Why are plumbers invoicing individuals? See, I had a plumber come to my house probably, 3 months ago? No, it was 4 months ago. He comes to my house, and I had a little bit of an issue. He was fixing it, and so I don't remember what it was, but he said, okay, you want to do debit card or credit card? After he did the work, and it was like $80 or something.
Right.
I don't want an invoice.
No.
The builder guy doing the work for me right now, he says, hey, to get started building the deck, I need a quarter, 25% down to buy the materials, and then I do draws each week as we go. I don't want an invoice from this guy 90 days after he completes the job. I don't want him like living like he's homeless because he's trying to finance my deck.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, I noticed you've been wearing the same clothes for the last 3 days, and it looks like there's some blankets over here in the corner by the corner of my house. He goes, yeah, I've just been, want to get here on time. So
What makes an entrepreneur want to have death by invoice?
I don't know, but you know what? I'm not sure, Clay. Maybe, you've done a lot of business coaching as the world's foremost business coach. What do you think is more challenging for a first or a new entrepreneur, and that is to ask for the business or to ask for the payment of the business?
I think asking for the payment's harder for most people.
And I think so too. And why is that?
I
why
have
do
a
people
lo-
just have this mental block in their head?
Well, I have a lot of reasons, and if I can go quasi political just for a second, I'll give it to you.
Okay, here we go. Okay,
Quasi
there
political.
we go.
There was a study that I was looking at the other day, and they're talking about who's going to run for president in the next 2 years,
Okay.
Democrat and Republican, and they were showing that well over half of millennials will vote for a socialist if they can choose a socialist option. And then the justifications that I was reading this person explaining, they said that once you have enough, you need to be paying 70% taxes. This is what this person was saying. This candidate, she says, once you earn enough,
and we'll decide that, right?
Have you heard of this story? Have you heard of this thing? This person is proposing a 70% income tax once you've made enough.
And what is the enough? That's my.
These are what I'm saying.
Oh, I've heard variations.
So
of
I
this,
think I think that poverty mentality though of like, okay, just because Dr. Z's making a lot, now we should take 70%. 70.
Go to Canada. I think Canada's way up there too.
70. Think about 70%, and the fact that the vast majority of people are saying that sounds great. That indicates to me the vast majority of the Americans who are surveyed have a psychological problem that I could not possibly diagnose.
Well, no, the average person,
not our listeners.
No, you're right, not the Thrive Nation.
Yeah, Thrive Nation.
But the
they got it
average
together.
person out there,
Right.
they want to live on somebody else's money. I mean, why
Right.
wouldn't you?
Right.
If you have no ambition, no drive.
Because there it is. So if you want to live on someone else's dime, it's because what you want to do is you want to do the easy route.
Well, sure.
Water runs downhill.
Yeah. I mean,
so
why
people
not?
are saying it's easier not to ask you for the money.
It sounds good.
It's
somebody else pay for my health care.
It's easier to not have to go get a job and work hard.
Somebody else buy my food.
It's easier to not have to ask the client, will you pay me?
Well,
it's easier not to ask.
It's easier.
You think it's easier until you're poor.
That's right.
Then it's harder.
That's right.
So life gets easier when you do hard things. And one of the hard things that Jonathan Barnett's been doing is building the world's best carpet cleaning franchise. This company has 396 locations, and for under $50,000, all of our listeners out there, for $50,000, you could have yourself your own business.
It's incredible. It's an incredible business.
It's
too.
a move. I think somebody there at OxyFresh is going to say, don't say under 50. Fine. For some amount under $60,000, you could buy a business and be financially free as a result of OxyFresh.
I can hear him now. I can hear him now with Jonathan on the phone.
No, say that.
No, Clay was very firm. I can play it back for you if you want. He said it was $50K. No, I'm not going to pay 53. I'm not going to pay 54 even.
So
Clay said it was 50.
And as of today, they have over 150,000 objective Google reviews. So now, without any further ado, back to the interview. See, this is the rest of the story here.
Okay.
I don't know what year it was. I just know that I had a big DJ company at the time I was in college. I had about 5 or 6 DJs working for me.
Oh, yeah.
It was doing $300,000 or $400,000 a year of this DJ company. And I get a call from this Jonathan Barnett guy who I knew of,
Yeah.
and asks if we can DJ for this college fun fireworks. I'm like, and you offered to do trade out. So we did trade out. And now I know that you made quite a markup on that. But here's the thing is, that was the first year that Vanessa and I ever bought fireworks. Now I buy them every single year. But, dude, you traded out, like, I think $500 of fireworks. And I'm like, this guy's the man.
Oh, yeah. It was only $100. Yeah.
I'm slaughtering this guy. This guy's just, I'm taking advantage of this guy. This guy is just, because I think I quoted you like 150, and you're like, nah, let's do $500 of fireworks. And I'm just like, yes.
Yes. Which is actually less than the 150.
It was a fun gig.
I was playing chess and not checkers with you right there. I was playing a little chess with you, not checkers. But I'm sure that you played more chess with me than I played with you.
Okay. It was a fun event. It was a fun time, and I can vouch for you. You were out there. You guys were sweaty. You were up there all night, all day, every day. And how did you kind of go from the fireworks into the next phase of your career? And what role did your grandfather have in that transformation from the firework king to the carpet king?
Great question. So check this out with the fireworks. This is all going to lead to the franchising, but sleep out there for 2 weeks, sleeping out there. Yeah, I made some money and stuff, but it wasn't like a ton, and it's seasonal. So the next year I did tents instead of stands. And I could rent the tents for way cheaper than I could build the one stand, and they were bigger. So I looked way bigger. But instead of running the stands myself, I had youth groups do it, and they got paid as a fundraiser. So their whole church would buy. So they had all these flyers. So my sales doubled, and yet I would go, and I had 2 stands in different locations. So I'd swing by picking up the money. They were winning. I was winning. I learned it was a win-win, and I had a lot more fun that summer versus sleeping outside all summer. So I guess, looking back, it was really hard, and I was stressed because you do 80% of your sales the last couple of days. So if it rains the last couple of days, man, you're in major trouble. So, but how all this led to what I do now with franchising is I was able to help create an opportunity for a win for that youth group, but also a win for me where I could scale and grow. So franchising isn't too much different than that. Is you're creating an opportunity for others to win, but then an opportunity for the brand to win also. And when the brand can win and the franchisee can win, the franchisees can win more because you get more resources, you get more thoughts, you get more fine-tuning in. The more franchisees you have, it keeps getting it. They make you get better.
I want to ask you this. This is my attempt to be non-linear, just to mess with you here. I want to ask you this. You've got some franchisees who are really winning as a result of the OxyFresh system now. I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing very, very well. Do you have a particular franchisee that you want to brag on that's been able to utilize the systems and really, really do well with OxyFresh?
Yeah, I mean, you go to different categories, right? But I have lots of franchisees that I would love to brag about. One particular sticks in mind, reminds me of this fireworks story because he's 20 years old. He's a full-time student at Lubbock, Texas, and he's setting records in our system for the most jobs done in his first year of business. And I think he has somewhere over like 300 or 400 Google My Business reviews.
Wow. And
he's a full-time student, and he has 2 techs that are full-time, and he's doing so well. And, you know, it's so encouraging to see that if they follow the systems and they have passion and they don't wake up the day and just be lazy, but what can I do to work on my business today and make it better? And he's a full-time student, and he's crushing these guys, some of these guys that are have owned businesses before or whatever. And we have great franchisees in our system, but I would like to give a shout-out to Leo Johns out of Lubbock, Texas, for being 20 years old and having that same passion I had when I had the fireworks stand. So
that's awesome.
That would be one guy that I definitely want to give a shout-out to. Yeah.
Well, and it's Leo. His name's Leo?
Leo Johns out of Lubbock, Texas.
See, you know what? That deserves.
Big shout out.
I'd say big shout out to Leo Jones.
Wins of the week!
Yes! Leo Jones, wins of the week. Lubbock, Texas. Big shout out to
going.
you.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Come on, Andrew. Get that light on it. Here we go.
Nice.
Oh, the room is spinning. The room is spinning.
Okay, we'll calm down
Okay.
now. So back to the story.
He got an award at our conference this year, and at the award ceremony, Matt was pretty fun. He gave him a bottle of milk since, you know, he's 20 and he couldn't drink at the award ceremony. So, but Leo John, we appreciate you, buddy. You're doing great out there.
See, does it blow your mind that there is a 20-year-old franchise owner in the OxyFresh system right now who's killing it. Does it blow your mind that a 20-year-old is doing that well?
It doesn't blow my mind. I see young people all the time. I mean, when I was a young man, the idea that you have that drive in you, I think if you have that drive in you, and they say there's 67% of the people listening out there want to start their own business, and so that means you've got that little spark, that little seed in you.
If you're 20 years old and you want to be successful, you might not need a degree.
A full disclaimer: if you want to be an optometrist,
you're going to have.
If you want to be a dentist,
yep.
If you want to be a chiropractor,
yep.
Then you will need to go and get that debt and go to school.
And in those specific instances where you have a profession or a technical skill, I would agree with you, and I am 100% wrong in those isolated incidences.
No, I hear you.
But
just
for
someone out there going, well, man, I want to be a dentist. I just I gotta throw that.
Man,
how can I do that without going to college?
Man, I'm watching a lot of YouTube videos. And
I heard about that long weekend course in Puerto Rico. I heard about that long weekend course in Puerto Rico. But
so I think that there's the vast majority of people though don't need to get a degree. What you need is a system, a proven system. You need a proven process, systems, strategies. You need if you could have all of that.
You need us.
If you could have all of that, Z, in one place. That would be our business coaching program. If you say, I don't want that, I just want the system, that's an OxyFresh. That's a Papa John's. That's a franchise.
That's a franchise. I tell you
Unbelievable.
What, franchises are wonderful. I think there's 30. How many different franchise opportunities are there out there? Google that.
Oh, boy. Well, I'll say this.
I think Jonathan's going to tell us.
In terms of franchises, I will say this. The failure rate for a startup right now, according to Forbes, is 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 startups fail, according to Forbes.
Do you know what we need to look up?
Andrew,
and see if you can Google this through Forbes.
Yeah.
See what the number of franchises that start up.
The number of franchises.
That would be a fun thing to look at.
And I've sat through and attended many franchise conferences, and I will say that the statistics are almost reverse. Z. So it's like instead of 90%,
very good. Then. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of we'll get the actual stat for you, but instead of 90% of startups failing. In the world of franchising, it's like 10%. I mean, it's very little. It's almost completely reversed. We'll get the stats here for you. But you know why franchises don't fail very much?
Because they have a system. They're proven.
It's a proven. You can't make up things. You have to disclose your financials.
And they tell you don't even know how much to charge for your sandwich.
Dude, it's crazy.
They've got it all figured out.
It's a push
broke
button.
It down.
You just hit the button.
Guess how many franchises in 2017 were operating in the United States of America?
How many franchises?
Mm-hmm. I got it right here.
Oh, I don't even know. I mean, it could
745.
Well, in honor of Tom Brady, I guess 12. What's the number? What do you think?
745,290.
Is that the score of the Patriots versus the Rams?
No, sorry. You could be 291 listening out there.
Repeat that number one more time.
745,290.
745,000.
290.
Oh, Shunda.
That's a
And you know what one of the fastest growing franchises in the world is right now? It's OxyFresh.
OxyFresh, I know.
And you know what? He's on today's show. Now back to our interview with JB.
Oh, it's awesome. Come on, JB.
That is great. Now okay. Now back to our linear story here. Now, so from the fireworks stand to the OxyFresh. How'd it happen?
Right. Okay. So, you got to live your passions, right? So, if money is your passion, I that's to me you're in dangerous thing. But money is important. It's what makes things work. But my passion at the time was a basketball outreach called Crossover, and as you know, I played basketball at Oral Roberts. I was a walk-on, so I didn't play a whole lot, but it taught me a lot. But basketball was like my identity and like what I thought, looked at myself as. And that's if money becomes your identity or this or that, it's very dangerous for anything you do in your life. So I decided to use basketball as a platform to reach youth around the world. We did a traveling team across the world for 10 years. But I did a 501c3 nonprofit, tried to raise money for multiple years. Everyone just thought I wanted to keep playing basketball. So then I decided, okay, I'm just going to start my own business to fund it. So OxyFresh, the carpet cleaning franchise that you probably want to hear the most about more than fireworks. But the thing is, my why was bigger. OxyFresh would start. My why I started OxyFresh was to help fund something I was passionate about, which was Crossover. So some people's why out there might be their family, more time, because they're 8 to 5. They don't have any time with their kids, or they can't take vacations, or they're stuck. So for me, my why was this Crossover thing. So whatever your why is, if you make that very important, then it'll drive you past, certain obstacles that are bigger than yourself, right?
Did you feel like that your grandfather taught you these lessons? Because he was an entrepreneur. Your grandfather, is that where you got some of this mojo? Was it from your mom? Were you checking out a lot of entrepreneur magazines? Where did this entrepreneurial fire come from?
It's funny because you could hear, people that are brothers and sisters, they have the same parents growing up, they could have different, whatever. But for me, what I took is I did take a lot from my grandfather. He was always inventing things, he always thought outside the box. So he was always never settling, questioning things, thinking there's a better way. And I thought that's how it's supposed to be. I wanted to be like him. So, then on the other hand, my mom was a little bit more opposite, but she was no quit in her, just very tenacious. And then my grandmother was like love no matter what. So I was very blessed to have three unique people raise me with their different values that helped me become. And I also got probably my Coach Sutton at ORU was a big, he taught me how to delegate, and I learned so much playing basketball there that I didn't even realize it at the time. So that I use today, which I know you like Belichick in the Patriots, and sports teaches us so much, right?
Sure does.
So
hey, JB, I promise you, there's somebody out there listening, maybe probably more than one, maybe hundreds, that have a successful business, are killing it, doing very well, and they have been told over and over and over, you should franchise this. You should franchise this.
You should franchise this.
You should franchise
this is what you should be doing. That's what I've been saying.
Holy cow. Holy cow. And for those out there listening going, oh my gosh, he's read my mail. That's me. Walk them through the initial steps of when you have a successful business, when you figured it out, what to do next, that process of, because it seems pretty daunting to the average entrepreneur, to the average business owner out there. It's like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can do that. That's overwhelming. So walk them through the process, the steps, the baby steps to get through for taking a successful business to franchise. Because you've got, over 400 now working out there?
We're close to 400. We're right towards 400.
Well, don't let the facts ruin my good statement.
Yeah, don't let the facts get in the way of the truthiness.
Come on.
He's gotten the facts get in the way of the truthiness.
I mean, what, you're going to call me a liar for 2 franchises, probably? I mean, come on. Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay, walk us through.
Okay, so here's the main thing with franchising is it's a very big responsibility. You when someone buys a franchise from you, they could have saved their whole life savings for this. So it's not something to take lightly. But at the same time, if you're planning on franchising your business, you almost start looking at your business differently from day one, right? So because it's not about you can't rely just about the people. You can have the right people. If you have your own business and you're not franchising it, it probably is focused just on the people, and that's fine. But when you get to where you're scaling it and you got to make it bigger and duplicatable, bigger than that one person, you really got to start focusing on your systems and your processes. And sometimes that is such a deep dive that it makes people nauseous, or they say I'll do it tomorrow, because when you get down into your systems and your processes, sometimes it's like looking yourself in the mirror and you're like, man, I got a lot to work on here with myself. So I would say the first thing I would say is if your vision is to franchise it, one is you better make sure your business is profitable. And I always like to say around shoot it for 20%, but it can be less, it can be more, depending on how much volume you're doing. A high volume business can be less percentage than a smaller business, but it definitely needs to be profitable, and it needs to be able to be profitable if you could substitute different people in. So not if you don't go to work for a week or for a year and come back, how is your business running?
You said 3 things that I think are going to blow somebody's minds.
Powerful.
Okay, so you said what kind of margin should their business be running at if they want to franchise? Do you think is an approximate kind of a range, best practice?
Yeah. So if you're working in your business as an employee, pay yourself what you would pay someone else with that job. Don't pay yourself a bigger salary just because you're the owner. Pay yourself, that bigger part comes out of the profit, the distributions. Pay yourself what you pay anyone else. Okay. But if you're going to franchise your business, your profitability after you pay all your employees should, you want it to be profitable, but 20% is what I like to shoot for. But if a higher volume business can be less percentage, right? If you're doing millions of dollars a year in sales for that store, then it could be less. But if you're a smaller business, then, you know, that's a good goal to shoot for, right? You want to, it's got to be profitable, else you should be franchising in the first place. Right?
And then you said the business should be able to run without specific people. So let's talk about how you did that with OxyFresh. I remember this specifically. It was the funniest. I just remember reconnecting with you, and I went to your condo in Denver, and it was like you, and I think you had like 3 dudes living with you. Am I making that up? Was it like you, 3 dudes, and a dog? Am I making that up?
When I lived in a little townhouse, I had 5 roommates.
5
and
roommates.
A dog.
Okay,
But the condo, that was 2. That was just 1 roommate.
It might have been the 5 dudes. So anyway, you now had 1 location in Denver that was doing well, and then you lived below your means, and you opened another one, and you live below your means, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to franchise. See all the checklists you have to make, copywriting things, trademarking things, building the franchise disclosure document. How long did you really, really, really live below your means? Like 5 dudes and a condo with a dog. How long were you doing that before you finally got OxyFresh to a place where you could start selling other franchises? How long did that take you?
It's kind of a unique story, and I wouldn't recommend people do it this way from the beginning. But when I franchised it, I franchised it this first year that I started OxyFresh. But the reason why is I had it in my mind that was the model I wanted to go for from the beginning, and we were more of a low cost model, and so we didn't have everything figured out. That was my intent. So from the beginning, I was focusing on the systems and the processes versus just the people, because I knew I wanted to franchise it. But to answer your question, I definitely lived below my means because every dollar that we made, instead of keeping it, my rent was $300 a month with my 5 roommates that you're talking about I have. So we all paid $300 a month, and then a lot of those guys cleaned carpet for me, and I paid them just percentage of the jobs they did. So I had just all my expenses were variable. I had no overhead. And so I was able to keep putting it all back in, and we sold 17 franchises our first year. So,
talk about the database you used. You had a spreadsheet, right? You had a spreadsheet, cold call technology. I mean, how did you sell those first 10 franchises?
Well, the first 4 were friends and family that they had seen me cleaning carpet and seeing what I was doing for a long time, and they were in different spots in their lives where they wanted to own their own thing. One of them happened to be my mom, and she was a college professor for many years. And so somehow she was getting fed up with that, and I got her to buy a franchise. And so she's been a franchisee in Phoenix.
Did you give her a good deal? Did you give her a good deal? Come on, JB. Did you give her a good deal?
I gave the first 4 out to friends and family. They got a streaming deal. But everyone since has been the regular price. There's been no discount.
I mean, you're like a brother to us. Can we get a deal? I mean,
we'll pay with fireworks.
We're like.
Okay.
I would love to do deals, but the thing is, it's we can do this another call, but the ethics of not what I want to do, but what's right for the other franchisees that have paid. And so that's why we don't do that, even if we want to, just because it's just the right thing to do. But I mean,
Z used to have a podcast called the Ethics Podcast, but he quit doing it.
I was too unethical for it, so I could.
He had to ask you. Okay, so JB, your company now, you guys have over 150,000 reviews as of today. I believe nearly 400 territories. You've got a great support staff. The call center in Denver is rocking. You have the state-of-the-art technology, a turnkey system where someone can call you today, and for around $50,000, be in the game as a self-employed person, owning their own business. What was the hardest part of building the OxyFresh franchise to get where it is today?
There's been different phases of hard. I would say in the beginning, the hardest thing would be to, we definitely didn't have everything figured out. So when we start, like you bragged on a bunch of things, like our call center, our technology, all that type of stuff, and our reviews. In the beginning, we had 2 products that we cleaned with, right? And we booked jobs on Excel spreadsheets in the basement of that little house, that condo that you were talking about.
Right.
And we had cordless phones, green carpet, orange countertops. And so getting someone to come out and buy a franchise when you're doing your meeting in the hotel lobby, little area that you're in out, is definitely challenging, right? but then you sell a bunch of those and they're doing well. The challenges become different because now you're up to 100 franchisees, they expect more support than you had at the 2. So every year it's a different challenge. So I would encourage the listeners out there, and if you've read of any of my articles or listened to me, I say this because I mean it, but don't wait till everything's perfect to get started. You operate as if you have the green light until you get the red light. And most people they operate as if they have the red light till it turns green. The problem with that is what most people wait till it's perfect to get started and they never get started. If I would have waited till we had everything that we have here to start, Auction Fresh wouldn't exist. I had to start, even though our products weren't perfect. I had to start when our call center wasn't perfect. I had to get started. I had some core things that were fixed. The core things got to be ready to go. Like I knew I would be able to update the products. I knew I'd be able to update the call center once we had more franchisees. And I told the franchisees that. I communicated, hey, we're not perfect. You're getting in at the beginning, but here's our vision, here's our future, and I had a plan. But, so don't just start your business and franchise it just because you don't have everything figured out. Have a plan and a goal to work towards, but don't wait till it's all figured out before you go. Otherwise, you'll never go.
You had the green light in your mind mentally to start OxyFresh. Were you obsessed with carpet as a kid? I mean, you just think to yourself going, wow, that carpet looks hot. That's some good stuff.
That is some good.
Hey,
did you?
I love that.
I saw a commercial the other day where they had a carpet shower. It was a shower.
Have you ever thought about putting a carpet in your shower? Were you into carpet as a kid? What made you want to get into the carpet game?
No, and again, I looked at this business as a vehicle to help me achieve my dreams and goals. So I looked at what is something that's not going to go away, right? I didn't want to build, like at the time there's big yogurt fad franchises coming out, this and that. And I'm like, that could change because, everything keeps changing, all that stuff. But flooring and upholstery, everyone's going to have that forever. So I wanted to trade in the sexiness where people would be like, oh, that's a cool concept you're starting. And I had to walk into restaurants or, on my dates when I'm married now with 5 beautiful children, almost 5. But when I meet people, whatever, what do you do? Oh, I'm a carpet cleaner. That's what I have to say. But you know what? I love saying it made it kind of fun. But no, I didn't dream to be a carpet cleaner. But what I did dream to do is be able to provide for my family. Like I was just telling you guys before we started, I got to play Pebble Beach golf this weekend. Just traveling and letting the business serve me and serve my goals versus I'd rather have that and say I'm a carpet cleaner than, doing something that sounds all cool, but yet I don't have any of the free time that I want to spend it with the loved ones I want.
That was hot.
Oh, you might be saying a carpet cleaner. You could say I make love to carpet.
You can do that. You probably not be allowed to speak at your next convention.
I make your carpet feel good.
Conference this past week, it was called Ignite. So we're getting everyone excited at Igniting Up for 2019. And I asked them all, everyone in the room, stand up if you're on the first page of Google for the word carpet cleaning in your city. Almost everyone stood up. But then I said, okay, stand up if you dream of being a carpet cleaner when you're growing up. Nobody stood up. I told everyone.
I did. I was into that. I missed my calling.
Can we get Shag back? I want more Shag.
Okay. All right. So my final question, I know Z has a final question for you, but my final question for you is how did you go out there and get the first 100 jobs booked when it was just you against the world? You had that green light. You just made a killing selling fireworks. How did you land your first 100 customers? Did you go door to door, house to house, cold call? Man, what were you doing?
This point right here could resonate with anyone in business, and I please just think about this. This is really important. This is fundamental for us from the very beginning. So it was some people out there, they call them they're marketing guys, but they say they focus on branding. I like branding; it's all good and all, but I'm a marketing guy that likes to track the ROI. And so in the beginning, I used to do door-to-door flyers, right? And I could get the carrier route, 500 flyers from the post office, that was the route they used, 500 flyers on the door. I'd get 50 cents of business per flyer I'd pass out. So I knew I could do 500 flyers in 5 hours. So once I figured that out, it's just a math game. 500 flyers, I get 50 cents of business flyer. It's $250 in 5 hours. Okay, I could pay somebody $10 an hour to pass it out. $10 an hour, that's 10 cents a flyer. So I have 40 cents a flyer margin. So it's a numbers game. Labor ready. I had 10-man crew. I'm sitting at my front door every morning, 500 bands, 500 flyers, 500 rubber band, 500 flyers for them to pass out. And there was a different code on each flyer. So I could track the sales off of each one. And I was getting a very positive ROI. Okay, so you're probably wondering, wow, that's great. Sounds amazing. There's a problem. When I did it myself, I got 50 cents of business per flyer. When I had these guys do it, I was getting about 20 cents of business per flyer of business. So I started driving around, and I was seeing all these flyers hanging out of barbecue grills, all sorts of weird stuff, right? So I learned as people do what you inspect, not what you expect. But knowing I wanted to scale this, be it franchisable, this wasn't a scalable way. So, right? So I had to do other marketing at scale. But the point of it is, how do we get to those first 100 jobs? I tracked my ROI on whatever marketing I did, and I put the cost of that marketing, and I was able to track the sales. Once you know what cost is creating what sale, then you can do more of it or less of it, right? Most people just do marketing. They don't track it. They don't think about how important that piece is. But once you know, and Dr. Z, if I told you, hey, if you give me $10 doing this, I'll give you 500, you'd probably give me 1,000, right?
I'd give you a lot more than that.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay. Did I just say that out loud?
What baffles me, this is what literally baffles me a lot in business, is that people don't track their ROIs very much on where, when you're answering that phone, you're booking that job. In our call center, we get a code. Every marketing piece has a code. In the online marketing, we create a unique URL that is attached onto our URL that goes to our website. So if you put in your zip code, a certain code comes up, so we know where that came from. So we track where everything comes from, and we know what the cost is, so that we can tell franchisees do more of this or do less of it. But if you're not tracking it, and that's the majority of, and then you know what they say when they can't track it? Oh, we're branding.
Right, exactly.
We're just branding.
Now, just in case, we know the Thrive Nation knows these acronyms. We know that the people that listen to us on a daily basis have the acronym. They're very intelligent.
That's
and know
what they know.
ROI means.
Absolutely, they're into
but
Roy.
Just in case
they
somebody wanders onto our podcast who's not in our Thrive Nation,
surely you
on a
can't be
regular,
serious. I am serious.
I am.
And don't call me Shirley.
Don't call me Shirley. I mean, I'm just saying. So break down ROI for like an 8th grader.
Yeah, who's Roy?
Or like an 8-year-old.
Yeah, who is he?
Yeah, break that down.
Okay, ROI, return on investment. If I spend $1 on this, how many dollars back does that give me? Okay, then you can multiply it by 100 or 1,000 or whatever you want later. But if I spend $100 on this part marketing, whether it's valve pack or a radio ad, or whatever you're spending it on, you got to be able to track the sales off of that. Then once you track the sales, if you get $400 back and you spend 100, you got a 4-to-1. You could subtract out the 100, so it's 3-to-1 or 4-to-1, however you want to look at it. But you spend 100, you got 400 back. So now, if you're profitable with that, spend 1,000, get 4,000 back. Now, at some point, there's a law of marginal utility, and if you're not getting the same, you're not going to get the same return as before. But if you're not tracking that, which is, it's bizarre to me. I got in an argument. I don't know if you guys heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, but we had dinner this past year, and we got in a little heated argument at the table because he's a branding guy,
about cleaning carpet,
and I'm a numbers guy. And he was trying to tell me how I'm a numbers guy and that's old school, and he's a branding guy, and what's the ROI on social media, because he wanted to know what's the ROI of my mom. And it was pretty hilarious. But basically, it's harder to track ROI on that stuff, but you still can. But at least be trying to and asking that, because branding is important, but if you can figure out your ROI, then you can scale and duplicate any business you have. If you can know what to spend to create a revenue source back, then you'll be able to scale it.
That's beautiful. And there's someone listening out there going, yeah, but how do I track that? I mean, you had a clever way on your flyers. You had a different code. I like that. Clay, there's some other ways. You can have different landing pages.
On OxyFresh, what is so cool is when you buy a franchise, they're going to have this call center that does all this for you. And if you're out there listening and you don't have a call center, you have to do all this yourself. But either way, the phone rings. You guys are very methodical about asking people how they heard about you. You guys use promo codes.
Yes.
I would say for my businesses, we ask every single person at the point of purchase how they heard about us. And we track it every single time. And we ask, and then we have unique landing pages so we can track. But one of the things that's kind of crazy is some people will go to your landing page and then call you a month later.
It's crazy. Oh, the other thing too, we used to do back old school, and I'm old, so this is old school.
Yeah, you and Moses did this move
We would
together.
have
You teamed
different.
up.
We'd actually sometimes do different phone numbers.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Come
different phone numbers.
No
for people
way.
To call in on and track to see where they're coming from.
Not possible.
You can have different landing
Dr.
pages.
Let me tell you, let me talk on this for a second. Is that okay?
Oh yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
I'm going to speak on this. This is a pretty interesting. So you guys talked about they visited your site or splash page, heard splash page, Dr. Z. We used to do splash pages. We don't do those anymore. We put all the pay-per-click content or Google or Facebook. We drive them to the city page of that location, but we just add on a different extension on the end. And what that can do, Dr. Z, is going to blow your mind, is it can dynamically change the phone number on that website, even though the customer doesn't know the phone number changed. Right.
Yeah, beautiful.
On top of that, it dynamically adds a marketing code to the top of that page on our website.
Beautiful.
You guys can try it going to our oxyfresh.com now, but quick there going through a different like Facebook link or a pay-per-click link. The phone number changes. Why? Because when it calls our call center, the phone number, it forwards to a phone number in our call center that has a marketing code on the phone screen saying the pay-per-click code.
Oh.
So the customer they clicked the pay-per-click ad, the code's different than if they clicked our website organically versus a Facebook ad. All of this is going to the same website, but it's dynamically changing the code in the back end so that we can track the ROI properly. So to Gary Vaynerchuk, we can measure the ROI on social media. Boom.
Oh, Clay, that just got me excited right there. I mean, that's just fun technology.
Do you have a question? What's the ROI of your mom?
No, I got a question for you. What's my ROI?
Oh, I don't even know that question. That's just such
it's crazy.
big. Well, okay. We'll continue to probably not have him on a guest for yet another reason.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll just continue.
It was
all good fun, though. It was all good fun, and he believes in what he's saying. He's passionate, and he does more of he doesn't have individual locations that if they're not doing well, they call and chew him out. So he's his own brand. So I get it. He's branding, and I don't know how, but we definitely, when we can, we track the ROI when we can, but when we can't, we can't.
Well, there's a lot of people that every year believed hopelessly that the Browns would win, right?
Correct.
But now we have a winner on the team. It's logical to think they're going to win now. They got Baker Mayfield on the team.
Yeah, they won 7 games.
But I mean, people have been like saying, this is their year. This is their year for what, 20-something years?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a lot like saying you don't need to track your ROI. You can be passionate about it, but you can be passionately wrong.
Well, by tracking it, what it does is it lets you spend your dollars where you get your biggest bang.
Yeah.
You get your biggest bang, And so if this gives you a 100 times return, this gives you a 10 times return, you're making money on both.
Who cares about the bang for your buck when you can just be blowing money?
Or fireworks. Blowing up fireworks.
Just blow up your money.
I love that. JB was like, I would have made 20 grand, but we blew up 10K in profit in fireworks. So.
Well, JB, here's the deal. I think I'm going to call this in faith part 1 of the Jonathan Barnett Chronicles.
Yes.
Because we really need to have you on for a second show.
Yeah,
John, could you do another show at some point? Could you do another show?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, this will be part 1, and we'll reach back out to you in time. We've got to interview Wolfgang Puck between now and then. So I know we got to take the show down a little bit. We got to take down the celebrity status. We'll do Wolfgang Puck, and then we'll come back to you. But if people want to learn more about buying an OxyFresh franchise, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys? What's the action step for somebody out there who wants to create time and financial freedom by buying an OxyFresh franchise, or at least learning more about buying one?
Yeah, you can just visit our website at oxyfresh.com or our franchise website at oxyfreshfranchise.com and just put in the notes that you heard about us on the Thrivetime show, so that will help us out. So we can track again, where our leads are coming from. But again, there's lots of great concepts out there. There's 3,800 different franchise concepts out there. So just be careful of what you're looking at and make sure it's the right fit for you. But OxyFresh, we're really enjoying the time that we have right now. And Clay and Dr. Z, thanks for having us on the show. We really enjoyed it.
Hey, big shout out to Rob, to Aaron, to Matt, everybody behind the scenes over there, Kelly at OxyFresh. You guys do a great job. To Jordan, we appreciate you guys so much for making OxyFresh such a great company to do business with. And Z, we like to end every show with a boom.
Every show.
JB, are you prepared to bring a Rocky Mountain boom?
I'm prepared.
Okay, Z, are you ready?
I'm absolutely
Andrew's probably ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom!
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March. March 6th and 7th.
Oh.
You're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling, or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place. Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second. Would you buy a ticket just to see Robert Kiyosaki and Eric Trump? Of course you would.
Of course you would.
But we're also going to be joined by Sean Baker. This is the best-selling author, the guy who invented the carnivore diet.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Sean Baker. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. He's going to be joining us. So you've got Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Eric Trump, Sean Baker. The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what, we should probably add on. So we're adding on what we call the upper deck, or the top shelf. So the seats are very close to the presenters, but we're actually building right now. We're adding on to the facility to make room to accommodate about another 30 attendees or more. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. In anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard. And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. And this is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
I should write that down and I can do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and petting
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, By default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might say, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in the it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns the what do you call that? The rental,
storage space,
storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump Organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life changing. It is life changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right. Really. So if you're looking to have life changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.